Today it's time for a very risky cast. It's time for Protoss versus Protoss. Now, before you click away, I know that generally speaking, the mirror matchups, not a lot of people want to see them. I have heard that this particular PvP is one of the very best games played this year. I haven't seen it yet. I've just heard that it was amazing, okay? So we're gonna find out together. Every single time I upload, say for example on YouTube, I upload a Zerg versus Zerg, it gets like half the amount of views. It seems like a bad business decision to even be looking at the mirror matchups. But you know what? I really like them. I think they're an absolute blast, and it's been forever since I last casted a Protoss versus Protoss. Hopefully I can try and help you get excited for the mirror matchups as well. Now, spotting right here in the bottom right hand corner, game number 1, this best of 3 series. Playing with the red Protoss pieces, we have none other than MaxPax's. Absolute god amongst men. This guy has been getting ridiculously good, and as we'll be making this video, as we'll be casting this, he is currently the number 2 in the world on Aligaleg. Like, he literally managed to overtake Maru, Clem, all the guys that I cast all the time, which is pretty insane. Now, obviously it's a Aligaleg, you gotta take the stats with a grain of salt, he doesn't play offline tournaments, yada yada yada. Long story short, he is sitting, right now at least as far as the statistics go, right underneath Serral. His opponent, playing with the blue Protoss pieces. In the opposite corner of the map, representing Team Liquid, we're looking at none other than Skillous' main Nexus. Of course, likewise also one of Europe's very best, although somebody I don't cast nearly as often as I probably should. Skillous really has been getting a lot better over the last couple of years, and, well, it will be nice to see him going up against MaxPax. The problem is MaxPax's PvP is considered to be absolute best in class. So, right from the get-go, right, like basically anybody is, well, maybe other than Serral or something, but basically nobody is really favored against MaxPax, and then, well, in this matchup in particular, MaxPax tends to not really lose. So I've got a feeling this is going to be a tough one here for Skillous. But we'll find out together what ended up going down. Nothing all too aggressive, by the way. You may have noticed, if you mostly see PvP whenever I upload, like, say, like a viewer-submitted replay or something, most of those start with a forge. At least one of the 2 players usually builds a forge, but at the pro level, that doesn't usually happen. Very rarely do we see any of that aggression. We've got some expansion blocks over here, but Max is going to be able to take his Nexus here eventually. He did not, however, go for the low ground wall off, and this could be a little bit annoying, because units are already going to come across the map. Usually, actually, it's quite interesting. MaxPax, for the longest time, was basically the only player at the pro level who would go for a low ground wall off in the natural. Everybody tried copying it, and nobody really got a lot of success with it. Apparently MaxPax has stopped doing that here as well. We'll have to see what he does in the remainder of the games, but yeah, interesting to see Skillous going for the low ground, but not so much MaxPax. The differences are not that significant, but it can make life a little bit difficult overall. So it is a much faster Stargate, of course, here for Max, favoring the technology over the expansion. Skillous is going to be able to get a bigger economy, but maybe Max can slow it down ever so slightly. Nexus is going to finish up on the low ground here eventually too. Do we have a tech path yet here for Skillous? No, he does not have any tech structure yet, so we'll have to keep an eye out. He will probably go into a Twilight Council here momentarily. Yep, there it is, Twilight Councils. Coming up for both players right around the same time. Stasis Ward is going to be the weapon of choice. Hello. Okay, now that was a little bit sloppy because there was some aggression over here at the front as well. And that actually was pretty much the best case scenario there for Max. I don't think he was really allowed to catch that many probes there. Obviously, with the shield battery, he can't really get a lot of kills, but he still has some energy left over to be a nuisance inside of the natural. Okay. In the end, that should just about make up for the income advantage that MaxPax had to cross. Since his Nexus was a little bit later, this actually evens everything up. And ultimately, we do have ourselves the Blinky Boys coming up. Alrighty, so usually in this matchup, you do have mass amounts of Blink Stalker going up against mass amounts of Blink Stalker. Obviously, you can go into Archon Immortal, you can go into Zealots as well, you can go into Disruptors. Practically every unit in this matchup does have its place. But much like, for example, ZVZ, or TVT, or really any of the other matchups, I guess, you kind of have to, like, get past a certain phase before you can really play the long macro game. before you're really allowed to play any of the fancier units. Alrighty, so MaxPax's going for a proxy pylon in the meantime on the other side of the map. I think that's mostly just for vision for now, and maybe to... Okay, no. I was thinking maybe he just wants to use this for later warp-ins, but he already has a probe landed over at the third base. I'm assuming we are going to be building a nexus here momentarily, but he'll still be trying. He will still be trying to put on at least a bit of pressure on the other side of the map, with the blink upgrade finishing. Skillous has already expanded towards the third nexus. Still ahead as far as the expansion timings go. It'll be Max here who needs to be a little aggressive, but he does decide to plant down that base. Now the proxy gate is an interesting choice here, because you'd imagine that this is a relatively easy snipe. Obviously he can't really go into, well, like a robo facility with a prism or anything just yet. He doesn't have that option. Let's see. Can he bait a blink? He wants to bait a blink really badly. Yeah, if the opponent blinks right on top of these Stalkers, the Stasis Ward is going to trigger. He tries to get the units in blue to chase, but not quite the case here. Okay. Yeah, I think Skillous should be okay. He's got an Immortal coming as well, and that will ultimately make life easier. He decides to send the probe, knows that the Stasis Ward is there. He must have seen the little shimmer. And this is all looking really, really good right now for Skillous. Yeah. Nicely done here. A lot of players do crumble under the pressure that MaxPax tends to put them in, but not really the case here so far. For the player in blue. The dance will continue. It's beautiful, man. That's the type of dance I want to watch. Stalkers dancing with one another. My girlfriend likes watching Bridgerton, you know. I've seen a lot of dances in that show. This is my Bridgerton, okay? When we have multiple Stalkers blinking against one another. I think that's beautiful. I would want to go to a ball like that. Sounds amazing. These... Oh, okay. I was going to say that the Sentry is very helpful with the Guardian Shield, but... apparently it decided to not participate in most of that fight. Luckily, though, for Skillous, he also had an Immortal in the mix. And Immortals obviously hit very, very hard when it comes to fighting Stalkers. MaxPax would love to pick it off, but so far, he's not really getting his groove in this game. We've got ourselves a good economy, I guess, for Max. But overall, I'm liking this position for Skillous quite a bit better. He's now building the fourth Nexus before the opponent. He's going to go into the charge upgrade a little bit quicker. Apparently, he's been struggling against that Oracle in the top left a little bit. That's why those probes were running away. But at the very least, we haven't seen any major Stasis Wards, right? I mean, we did have a bit of a worker pool there for just a sec, but... Can we do it again? Yeah. Actually, there may have been a bigger Stasis Ward here than I realized for a little bit. Yeah, because right now, MaxPax is really starting to pull ahead as far as that eco goes. Judging by the worker count, it shouldn't really make that much of a difference, but I'm wondering if maybe there was another Stasis Ward in the main that I may have missed there. Anyways, fourth Nexus coming up as well on the other side of the map. Now, obviously, this is Golden Aura, and Golden Aura is very defensive in general. It's hard to really get a lot of damage done on this map, but if anybody can do it with these armies, it's certainly Skillous. The Immortal count right now for MaxPax just doesn't yet exist, so he may want to make one here eventually. He may want to make that transition in a little bit, but right now, these Immortals have a lot of potential. The only problem here is that this fight is super awkward. We do have a couple of force fields available, and ultimately that's forcing those Stalkers in red back. I wonder if we should turn our guns to the Nexus instead, but he feels like he needs to be fighting into this very awkward choke point. In the meantime, there was a little bit of aggression as well on the other side of the map. Probes are being sent in here by Max 2 to try and help defend all of this a bit, just to draw some fire. And it looks like he actually stabilizes. Yep. The Immortals have all disappeared. Good target firing right there by Max. He's not out of the water yet, though. The Stalker numbers right now just simply in favor here of Skillous, but there is now one defensive Immortal available too for MaxPax. Oh, Prism. Getting the Prism would be big. He gets it. Immortal. Okay, a little bit exposed as well. It is going to get blinked on. And ultimately, as the dust settles, we've had a little bit of a trade. MaxPax obviously being the defender does benefit from that a little bit. just because he had more, you know, he had less units in the first place and he had more defensive structures helping him out. In the meantime, there is, by the way, another Nexus building over here up north. He hasn't seen it yet, but I think he's gonna get a glimpse of it right about right now. There we go. 5th Nexus is already coming up. Dark Templar will be the name of the game next. So let's see. Stalkers up north, in the meantime trying to be annoying. Zealots down south trying to do a run-by. Both players mostly just try to chase each other down. See if they can get some real advantages here. But so far, neither really benefiting from the aggression all too much. Really, like, it's both players take a bit of a hit, but ultimately we expand. And then we fight a little bit again, we trade armies, but then ultimately we expand. Obviously, though, this is the type of game that is on a razor's edge. Things can go horribly wrong. The game can be decided in about 5 seconds, but when we keep trading like this, ultimately we just end up with basically the entire map taken. All of the bases are pretty much accessible. Dark Templar are nice, but there should be detection around the map. Photon cannons and observers are what Skillous is really going to need here. Still though, the Prism can sometimes do a warp in and just shutting down, for example, a photon cannon, or just killing all of the probes before the DTs go down. Can put in a lot of work. So Max is indeed going to try. Send a couple of those bad boys up around the map. He's gonna go for the Shadow Strike research as well. Dark Templar can be used very effectively in straight up engagements too, just because they deal so much damage. Yeah, they can out DPS this relatively handily, although you do need a third one. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of kill it, but this is awkward. In the meantime, there's a big fight happening down south. The Nexus here from Max is in a different position, in a more exposed location. Stalkers in blue are kind of fading into the background of this map, but they do manage to shut down that Nexus before it really ever got mining. And in the meantime, up north, this hero photon cannon actually stayed alive. New Dark Templar, though, have joined in the fray. Skillous does have an observer nearby. He's gonna recall a bunch of units back home to try and help out with the base defense. Photon cannon indeed is gone. The Dark Templar are now going to be teleporting back home again as well. Fight continues over here, but ultimately, as the dust settles, Skillous is the one with a 5th Nexus up and running. Bigger army, good upgrades, similar economy. MaxPax's is not really finding his groove in this game. Okay. He's gonna need to do something. Now, Shadow Strike is a way to get back into this game, right? Like, Shadow Strike can be incredibly powerful. This is the blink upgrade for the Dark Templar. But at this point, obviously, Skillous knows that DTs are a very real problem. And yeah, just doubling up on the photon cannons is not a terrible idea. He's gonna take another Nexus. It'll be up to MaxPax's to try and slow this down, but look at the supply count right now. Heavily in favor here of Skillous. He's gonna bleed out a few Stalkers on accident, probably busy trying to chase down these War Prisms and Zealots and things that are running around the map. He does have a Zealot over at the 3 o'clock base as well. That Nexus indeed will be taken here momentarily by MaxPax's if it's up to him. But the Zealots will probably try and slow that down a little bit. Okay. Forge upgrades, though, are coming, and Skillous is a bit behind in that department. He has not been chrono boosting his Forge as diligently as MaxPax's has. So there will be an upgrade advantage for those red Stalkers in about 20 seconds. If he can fight when those upgrades finish, it actually does make a very significant difference. Zealot is indeed going to try and shut down this base. Let's see. Ground levels 3 is now done here for MaxPax's. It's not yet finished for Skillous. My question is, does he have enough? It is also, by the way, perfectly viable to transition towards other army units. You don't just have to stick around on Stalkers and Zealots, but neither player really wants to make that call. Well, other than these Dark Templar, I guess. They're a relatively small investment, but still a very powerful group of units. So they're starting to finally carve a bit of damage around the natural expansion. In the meantime, though, this fight is still with an upgrade advantage for MaxPax's, but that concave was heavily in favor of the Protoss in blue. DTs and Zealots now in the main base, though, trying to cause a lot of chaos, and this may have just been exactly what MaxPax's is looking for. The DTs are expensive, this is a big commitment, but he's shutting down a ton of probes. 14 workers have just gone down. And obviously this also alleviates a lot of pressure off of his own back. Max is sitting himself right now. Oh my god, he's actually going to continue fighting this. Yeah, the DTs actually just deal so much DPS. So much damage per second. Not bad at all. Okay. MaxPax's has decided to go all the way up to now 97 probes. This is a work account that we rarely see from Protoss. Honestly, we don't really see it in StarCraft 2 anymore at all. It used to be quite common for Zerg players to go up to like 100 workers, and then at some point build like 20 spines and spores. But not really the case anymore these days. This is basically MaxPax saying, yo, I am gonna be throwing stuff at you. And I'm gonna be able to make more of said stuff than you will ever be able to keep up with. Because his income is just, it's just significant. He's gonna just have like 20% or so more income than the opponent. Obviously, there's a little bit of mineral inefficiency too. It depends on the amount of saturation that you have. It's just that Skillous' army should be better overall. Big Zealot run by up north. These decisions can be quite costly though for Skillous in the end. DTs are being used as well to try and defend against this sort of thing. Skillous did bring an observer with these Zealots, but the Stalkers now get recalled over here. In the meantime, that means that there's an opportunity for the player in blue to move in down south, but the shield battery overcharge is going to keep MaxPax safe for now. He won the fight over on the right side of the map. It looks like he's quite stable as well right here against the army on the left. Still a couple Dark Templar going to town over here as well inside of the main base of Skillous. Zealots and Dark Templar intercepting another group of Zealots. Stalkers and Dark Templar, rather. I think I called them Zealots and Dark Templar. Anyways, this is a good fight here for Skillous in the end. I think Skillous could have actually committed to this a little bit quicker. Observers do, of course, see the other observers. MaxPax now sending all of the rest of his units over here in this direction. Dark Templar and Zealots still going to town inside of the main base of our player in blue. These units should get cleaned up. MaxPax, though, is gonna keep this expansion alive. And that almost surprises me a little bit. Does he have enough over here as well at the 3 o'clock position? He sure does. Okay. Now, he's not yet maxed out. So he's not yet MaxPax. MaxPax? Anyways, he's currently sitting at 170-ish supply, right? I think when he ultimately gets maxed out, he will start pulling ahead economically. Like right now, it's still relatively even. But if MaxPax can sit over here on this amount of workers for about another minute, I think he will actually start getting a very nice bang compared to the opponent. He's gonna go for another Nexus though in the far top right. In the meantime, Skillous is securing a base over here in the far bottom left. Shield battery overcharge once again super handy. That angle though certainly in favor there of Skillous. Currently, Max is only Pax. But if he does a couple of warpins, he will be maxed Pax. And I wouldn't mind seeing those warpins. Alright, how many gateways are we on? We have 12 gateways right now for the player in red, 11 for the one in blue. He's almost max Pax. He's mid Pax? What is max Pax called at the start of a game? Min Pax? I guess it's min Pax, because that's probably the lowest supply you will ever get in a game. 12. Min. Does the second vowel in his username change as well? Would it be Minpix? Or mix? Alright, anyways, fight continues over here. The skirmish is also happening up north as we just have Zealots and Dark Templar chasing Zealots and Dark Templar. Keep in mind that Dark Templar, even though they're brothers, and even though they're, even though they can't see each other, okay? You need to have detection in the mix before you can see the opponent. Not all heroes wear capes, but these guys do. Shadow Strike now available as well for Skillous. Resource count though should start looking a little bit better right now for Max. We're talking 68 workers only for Skillous, and I feel like that is ultimately just gonna create a massive lead for Max. Like, Max obviously doesn't have as big an army. It's 132 army supply for Skillous. But he's got the advantage of the static defense. Okay. This is where Skillous is going to try and put all of his eggs in a basket. And I don't know if I love it, 6 additional gateways coming up. That means he can become the embodiment of the Legacy of the Void opening cinematic, where you have that one probe building one pylon and then it warps in like 70 Zealots. Well, in Skillous' case, it's gonna be 17 Zealots, but that's still significant. Oh, don't get baited, Max. That's costly. That is really costly. He chased this too far. Well, actually, the majority of those Archons seem to be alive. In the meantime, though, with that entire army in blue dragged towards the top right-hand corner, MaxPax's is moving in towards the far bottom left. We're gonna recall with those units towards the bottom left. He's gonna target fire down the Nexus, and he does get it. Needs to run and get the hell out of there. This is only about half, though, of Skillous' forces. He's got a big chunk over here up north. I think this is enough for MaxPax's, especially with a warp in, to keep that around. And the main problem for Skillous right now is not so much those golden minerals, it's very much so the gas. He doesn't really have the gas count right now. There have been, yeah, a few gases that are unmined so far. 2250 available in both of those. I really think Skillous needs to be taking those ASAP, because he is going to start running out very, very quickly. And when you can only make Zealots, maybe you can embody the Legacy of the Void opening cinematic, but that's about it. Okay. +3 coming up. For both players. +3 armor, that is, for the ground units. Whew. I mean, we are now at 21 minutes, and this game is certainly not decided yet. Neither player really making a commitment towards another army unit, yeah. Immortals are amazing when you can get a lot of them. The problem is getting a lot of them in a game as aggressive as this is pretty much impossible. Nexus in the top right does go down. Nexus in the bottom left resecured. Skillous is dropping some of his minerals in that section of the map. Still not taking the gases over here, though. MaxPax's is gonna try and mirror that in the top right, building up a bunch of photocannons and shield batteries over here as well. Okay. A few hundred Stalkers have gone down. Well, actually, only 141 up to this point. I think we're gonna go and see at least a couple hundred Stalkers dead in this game. Hundreds of Zealots down the drain. Observers are trying to pick off observers, because that would once again enable the Dark Templar. Bottom left corner has been secured. Prism is gonna fly around once more. Super annoying. Skillous, of course, did not have a Stargate at the very beginning of the game, so these prisms have actually been the bane in his existence, because every time there's been a warp in the main base, he loses a very significant chunk. Watchtower in favor right now of Skillous, though. MaxPax's is thinking about maybe going into that bottom left-hand corner. Top right, though, has been secured right now by the Danish player. Okay. Okay, careful. MaxPax's might find himself sandwiched. It's a Stalker sandwich with Stalkers! Everybody loves Stalkers. We heard you like Stalkers, so we put Stalkers in your Stalker sandwich. Well, right now, there's just 2 clumps of them. The real fight, honestly, feels like it's happening up north. Those Archons are really good at picking off the clumped up Zealots here from Skillous in particular. Archons, of course, deal splash damage. Always worth reminding you of that, because I didn't know when I first played StarCraft for like the first 3 years or 4 years of me playing the game. Until I learned my way. I learned my lesson the hard way by flying a bunch of Mutas clumped up into a group of Archons. And I learned that day that against clumped up it took me a long time. Embarrassingly long. Templar Archives coming up as well. I think Templar Archives are mostly just here to make more Archons here. It's a little bit cheaper than making them out of Dark Templar. Storm is a bit of a funky one. We're gonna recall whatever we can, but it's not going to complete. Okay, so it doesn't happen very often, but it looks like this entire map is gonna get mined out. So how does that work in a mirror matchup? MaxPax's has lost substantially more resources here than Skillous. All of those warp-ins and all of that chaos he's been trying to create is nice and all. I mean, this honestly could be a move that is gonna flip the tide, though. Because this is looking like an army that might just end up going down. I mean, I say that. Obviously, Protoss can warp in as well on the other side of the map. It doesn't really, it doesn't really matter what he calls home. These armies are still split up. Neither player really wants to commit fully. Dark Templar now coming in. Is there a detection here for Skillous? There is not. He cannot see the invisible men because they are invisible. It had it in the name. Photon cannons are going to be critical up north as well. There is one observer over here. Don't all army hotkey it forward, because then it might get targeted by those photon cannons. And at that point, DTs can be used defensively, although it looks like MaxPax doesn't even really need those. Okay. Dark Templar are now used as a core unit here by Max. He's got a lot more money in the bank because he's been mining a lot more. A lot more gas, that is, in particular. He's already been depleting his minerals quite rapidly. In the meantime, though, he's also fighting over here at the 9 o'clock position, going after one of the bases that's been mining for nearly 10 minutes. So this is not really Skillous' most important base, but MaxPax just wants to try and hit in as many angles as possible. I think MaxPax probably wins the majority of his games just being a chaotic player, right? Trying to be the aggressor, and at some point, one of those fights will slip through the cracks. But Skillous has been incredibly good. Just defending against all the pressure, and then, in the meantime, also putting on a lot of it himself on the other side of the map. I don't think MaxPax really gets pushed to the limit very often in this matchup. But you can tell here that Skillous is certainly making it very, very difficult for him. And I like this game better here for Skillous. The longer that this goes on, I think this is going to get better for him. The traits are just so nice. Yeah, Skillous is truly one of the very best European Protosses. He's been getting better for, like, I don't know, the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years or so. He's been steadily improving. Certainly somebody that needs to be on your radar. God, the micro, man. These are also very intense games to play. So, we do finally have a robotics bay. One common addition in this matchup, and you wouldn't think it from this particular game so far, but one very common addition is to go bowling. Protoss players love bowling. They love making disruptors in every matchup. Against Zerg, they like to hit lurkers. Against Terran, they like to hit whatever they can. Against Protoss, though, they like to... Yes, we have another unit! 20... I think about 28 minutes into the game is when we finally will have a new unit added into the mix. It's a bold play. And it's not really a complete necessity here. But I think Skillous has realized that his traits have been significantly better. So if the map mines out... Probes are even pulled right now to the front. But if the entire map mines out, it should be heavily in his favor. So Disruptors are great as a defensive tool. The only problem is he's only got like 2 of them right now because he's maxed. Like, he's not maxed packs, but he's still maxed. So minus the packs. Anyways, probes are being donated around the map. These guys are now considered useless. They get the probe with a Stalker for a little bit, I guess, so that's nice. Lovely control, though, by Skillous. Max is sending his entire army on over in this direction. He's got a huge amount of troops. Dozens of workers going down just to make a room for more army supply. And that's exactly what Skillous is doing. If he's not paying attention, MaxPax's it is, those Disruptors can put in a stupid amount of work. Skillous is certainly not showing it yet, although... Yeah, no, that's not his... I thought for a second maybe that was MaxPax's observer, but not quite the case. He's hiding the Disruptors for now. Okay. Bottom left corner is gonna mine out very quickly. Huh. I don't think I've ever actually seen a PvP where the entire map is mined out. Okay. Yeah, now he knows about the Disruptors. And he's thinking the same thing. MaxPax's is gonna be making the transition towards the Disruptor himself. Robo Bay is coming up. 2 additional robotics facilities also on the horizon. We are going bowling. These guys have been avoiding bowling this entire time. They're more fans of volleyball or whatever they... I don't know what the equivalent would be of what the Stalkers have been doing this entire time. They've been dancing, they've been microing. They've been shooting at one another for a little bit. But bowling is ultimately the outcome. Alright, there we go. The balls are on the production tab. Yeah, maybe it's not bowling, maybe it's dodgeball. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Here come more probes. It's always a bit of a sad moment in StarCraft 2 when you go into the late game. The entire early game is all about killing your opponent's workers, and then at some point they just come towards you. Disruptors! But of course, dodgeball is MaxPax's favorite sport. I guess you can technically hit a strike in dodgeball. It's just frowned upon, but it's possible. Nice concave right here, though, for Max. My god. This game is never going to end. Let me just reiterate that this is one of those games that can be over within about 30 seconds. And it has been the case ever since the 5-minute mark, but neither player is making any significant mistakes. Bottom left corner is mined out now too, so those probes are running for the hills. One option obviously is to go for a counterattack. Oh, he blinks forward, he gets one of the Disruptors, 2 of the Disruptors, 3, 4. All of them are gone. That means the only things that remain are the Disruptors in blue. Skillous dodged the balls by running into them. What a play. Not enough room over here, though, to recall. We have a couple of Stalkers getting warped in as well by Skillous. In the meantime, there is a counterattack at the top section of the map, too. This base is pretty much irrelevant, though, so you can micro all you want. Honestly, this is a game that gets decided by the armies now. And if I look at the army supply count, look at that. Absolute nosedive. MaxPax, forced to reinforce right now, is gonna lose another one of the Disruptors, and just like that, I feel like the man was maxed out. He was MaxPaxed out, just like 30 seconds ago. Just like that, it's Skillous who wins game number 1. Whew, okay. After 30 minutes, 300 Stalkers and 300 Zealots, we find ourselves on the Ghost River. Sick game. That was a really nice game. So normally PvP late game goes a little bit differently than that. Usually we do see different units than the ones that we saw by these 2 legends, but apparently we really just had an extended early game, right? It was really just Zealots and Stalkers the entire game long. Every time an Immortal or an Archon got mixed in, I guess we had the Dark Templar really disrupting it. Because keep in mind that previous game was looking really good for Skillous in the early match, and then, well, MaxPax's decided to show up with the Dark Templar. It is rough. Nope, a little bit of a probe kiss. That's beautiful. Just a peck on the cheek, you know? As they met in the middle of the map. Not afraid of ghosts, or at the very least they were sent across. Skillous giving him the GLHF. MaxPax not responding at all. Suspicious. Actually, there's a chance that MaxPax GLHF before the game started. Or for example, in the pre-game lobby. And Skillous is just responding to that. But you know what? Let's pretend that MaxPax is really angry right now. Yeah, let's pretend that this is actual StarCraft drama. Nah, I'm sure MaxPax is not really too upset over a single loss. Although honestly, it's hard to say. We don't really know too much about MaxPax. He's very mysterious, right? There is certainly something about not showing up to offline tournaments and just being ridiculously good at the game. Very hard to say how emotional the man gets when he's playing. We have no idea. Like, some StarCraft players are known for being quite, you know, upsettable, I guess. They can get a little bit emotional when they're in a second game of a series, and you can actually maybe, you know, draw a bit of blood by giving them the GLHF like that, but I don't think MaxPax's is like one of those. No. Generally speaking, at least in my experience casting and, you know, meeting pro gamers for many years now, most of the top tier guys are very chill. It's almost like in order to be really good at the game, you need to have control of your emotions. Like, it almost feels like that is the case. Yeah. You need to be able to move past mistakes quickly because you're always gonna make mistakes. As long as you're human, you will likely make mistakes. Unless your name is Cyril, in which case you may not be human. Maybe. Proxy Pylon coming up on the other side of the map. It's gonna be Skillous now, who's going for a little bit of tech here. Twilight Council much quicker than in the previous game. Stargate is coming here, or it's already done, of course, here for MaxPax's, who's gonna be going into an Oracle. That one is gonna be coming across the map very rapidly. Yeah, Proxy Gate here for Skillous. He wants to get a quick 2-0 right here over Max. This, of course, does mean, though, that he won't have a lot of defense at home. And in the meantime, a Void Ray, usually considered to be kind of like a Metal League unit, right? Fantastic in Bronze League, Silver League, Gold League, and all the rest of it. But at the pro level, it's very good in this matchup when you're playing defensively. MaxPax's a little concerned as to what's going on. He sees that the opponent is fully walled in. He knows that there's no nexus built on the low ground. He sees 3 gateways. He knows that something very fishy is coming here. So Void Rays are being pumped out. The prismatic alignment will be necessary. Any probe kill right now is really good. Any worker pool like that is actually also really good. Okay, so he's seen the Twilight Council. He has also seen that there's no Dark Shrine. So really all Skillous needs to, or sorry, all that MaxPax really needs to do is just not die. Don't die, and you will, or yeah, you will all be okay. But it's a little risky. A robo facility is coming. Immortals would be amazing. He's gonna go for a shield battery in the main base too to try and keep all of this alive. Looks like the first line of attack though here from the player in blue is gonna be the natural expansion. Okay, shield battery overcharge would not be a luxury. There it is. Woo! Really left that until the last possible second. The longer that this goes on though, the better it is for MaxPax. He's got more tech, he's got better units overall, and obviously he also has a bigger economy. So the more time he buys, the more comfortable this becomes. And look at MaxPax, dude. He is a dancer. Yeah. He is smooth when it comes to controlling his units. Smooth operator. Yeah, this is brilliantly done here by Max. I don't see how Skillous is gonna break this. His best bet is probably like a big blink forward and try to pick off every single one of those high value targets, but this is gonna get worse over time. There's a shield battery, a stasis ward right next to the shield battery as well. I mean, he's trying to pick off the Nexus, right? So that is ultimately, I guess, the moment where Max is going to have to commit. But there's already an Immortal in the mix. He will be able to heal it up a little bit as well with that shield battery. Shield battery right now using some of its energy on the Nexus itself. And he can always overcharge again, too. Second Immortal is out. Yeah, Protoss players are really good at dancing. I've met many Protoss gamers, or Protoss players rather. You wouldn't say it. No, most top tier StarCraft players are probably not great at dancing. Here we go though. Aggressive blink forward. That stasis ward is a banger, and I think that's basically game over. Yeah, no, this is. I don't think this is gonna go well. The Nexus still lives. All of the high value targets are also still alive, other than those sentries. It's time to shoot. Boom. GG. Now I know what you're wondering. Lowko, how do we know that you're not secretly MaxPax? Yeah, has anybody ever seen me and MaxPax in the same room at the same time? Look, I will not be able to confirm nor deny anything. All I'm saying is that I don't think that has ever happened. That would be one hell of a plot twist. All these years of slowly hyping up a player, suddenly becoming a massive fanboy as the guy who gets ridiculously good, and it turns out to be me. Whoa, dude. That would be something. Yeah. And it would also make sense, because for most of the tournaments that MaxPax's would qualify for, I'm one of the commentators. So, you know, I would have to choose. Do I want to play, or do I want to... Here it is. I think my secret is out. After years of struggling against Protoss with Zerg, I've decided to join them. Final game of this best of 3 series. We find ourselves on Dynasty. That's also why I wanted to mention, by the way, because I knew that I already GLHF'd in the pre-game lobby. So that's, yeah. It's not bad manners, guys, I promise. Dynasty is an interesting map, though, for a game 3. Cybercore is going to be coming up. Double gateway start here for Skillous. This is, by the way, the gold standard in most PvP games. Like, most of the time you see players going double gateway into Stalker production or Adept production. Very strong. These guys have been going single gateway most of the time. That is a... it's a high-level play. You don't generally go for a single gateway opener unless you're feeling really confident. Because this now means that Skillous is... gonna be able to just have more unit production. Stargate coming up here for MaxPax's, who also wants to be building a Nexus down on the low ground soon, but he knows he's playing against Doublegate, so it's a little bit sketchy. He's looking around, and I think he's gonna go home. See you later, he says. Yeah. No, this is the probe that was mining, or that was running around the map. There's another one over here that also took a bit of a beating. Okay, Nexus is coming up. Now, holding on to this base is not easy, because the Stalkers are already roaming. I wouldn't mind seeing the golden minerals come up. Yeah, and Skillous is doing the same. Okay, he's thinking the same thing. Probe here wants to kiss. That's beautiful. Close your eyes. Okay, never mind, he's dead. You can open them again. Nexus is coming up at the golden mineral line, and this is difficult for Skillous to hold on to. Right, so he's gonna be facing off against flying units. And flying units, right, get this. They are in the air. Alright, and what I'm trying to say is that they don't really care about you having to run all the way around your bases in order to defend with ground. It's gonna be kind of tough here for Skillous to defend. Let's see. Oracle is going to be running straight in. Okay, we're going to settle for a single worker for now. Oh, he really wants to get the shield battery too. Fair enough. Void Ray is coming up. That's a bit of an interesting choice. I wouldn't have minded seeing a... Maybe I was scared of another all-in, but... I wouldn't have minded him going for another Oracle here. Okay. Yeah, he does decide to go for another Oracle in the meantime here in the end. But what are we going to use the Void Ray for? We're going to try and send it across the map. It's a bold play because these units are expensive. And generally speaking, not that good. Now, one thing that this Oracle is achieving by just existing is a split in the army. So Skillous is forced to defend the main base as well as the gold. Recall is going to be used right now on, I guess, some of the probes. I guess it was just the probes from the main base. What just got recalled? Sorry. Something got recalled. Oh yeah, it's about 5 probes. Okay, fair enough. This could be quite annoying though, because if you leave the main base uncontested, I would imagine this is when the Oracle thinks about moving in. So far, well done though by Skillous. Very easy to accidentally mess this sort of thing up. That shield battery is incredibly handy. Void Ray, targeted down already. Oracles now though, joining their guns together. Shield battery or not, as long as they're in sync, they can kill the probes before the battery can heal. Okay. Now, one nice advantage here for Skillous, though, is that his blink upgrade is significantly quicker. It may surprise you, but it looks like Stalkers are gonna be built in this game once again. An uncommon unit, of course, in this matchup. Rarely do we ever see Stalkers in Protoss versus Protoss. But it looks like both players are gonna be making them. I know. Unseen. Never heard of. Void Ray's trying to go home. Skillous is gonna finish up Blink, and he might be able to grab a couple of those units, yeah. Units in red don't yet have Blink. Can he get one? Get it. Use your laser eyes! There we go. I think they have... I don't know where they shoot out of. Do they shoot out of their eyeballs? I don't even know where they come from. Anyways. Void Ray managed to come home just barely. And it's almost time for the dance to continue. I mean, all the Protoss structures are very glowy. Very pretty. Loads of, you know, flashing lights and all that. So it makes sense, I guess, that Protoss players are fans of dancing, and they will be activating their moves once more. This was a good little bit of harassment, though, with those oracles. 12 workers going down in total is not a bad start. Okay. Nexus is going to build over at the third base location. MaxPax's leaving the gold base behind for now. It's like a little snack he's keeping in his back pocket, you know? He's not taking it early, but he's saving it for tomorrow. It's like when you open like a bag of chips. One thing you can do, and I know this is difficult to imagine, right? But one thing you can do is save it until the next day. So you can have some right now and then more tomorrow. That's not usually the build order that I play in real life. I usually just eat it all in one go. Because, you know, I have no self-control. But that's basically what MaxPax's is doing right now. Yeah, he's got control. He doesn't want those golden minerals right now. He's going to be taking them a little bit later. Saving snacks is a build order that Protoss players are apparently a fan of. That's something my girlfriend does all the time, dude. Ever since we moved in together, it's been many years now, but I don't understand how she does it. She will, like, say we have Pringles or whatever, she will open the box of Pringles and have like 3 of them, and then close it again and just put the box away. How is that possible? I eat at least half the container. It's terrible too, because like any snack she buys, she does usually do most of the grocery shopping. Any snack she buys, I probably eat about 95% of them. I feel like I'm not the weird one here, but maybe I am. I don't know. I have no self-discipline somehow when it comes to... The best build order I've found is just to not buy the snacks in the first place. Yeah, one serving size is the container, right? Anyways. Oh, that stasis ward is going to be pretty sweet. MaxPax's finally, by the way, opens the snacks. He's going to be going for the golden base here eventually. But my question is it actually a good moment for him to go ahead and do so? Because Skillous has been snacking away for a while at those golden minerals and the rich Vespian geyser and all that. His economy, it's not been that terrible. Considering the worker counts here, you'd imagine it's much better for MaxPax's, but it really isn't. I mean, it's a little bit better, don't get me wrong, but it's not that significant of an advantage. Stasis ward over here could be a problem. Once more, a bunch of Stalkers in blue do find themselves, well, I don't know, slowed down? Maybe in hibernation? I'm not exactly sure how to look at this. I also wonder, though, if MaxPax got a little bit too greedy with the worker count overall, because his army is just not good enough. He's 30 supply behind. He needs to hold on to this third nexus. He cannot afford losing this. Unless the gold base somehow stays alive and the third base only goes down, but that would be very difficult. MaxPax's going for additional gateways right now. He's actually only been sitting on 4 gateways this entire time. And that production is just not quite up to par. He's trying to go into other units, but as the series has already shown us, only Stalkers, okay? This is practically mono battles. We just play a single unit each. You get to make Stalkers, I get to make Stalkers, and then guess what? Put on the flashing lights in your shield battery. We're going dancing, man. Well, no shield battery over at the gold base. I'm sure Max would have loved to have one over here, but the third base is already gone. And the fourth base, it looks like it won't be too far behind. No, don't get too greedy. No, I don't think you go across. That's too far, man. Okay, going home is a much better choice, Skillous. I was thinking about going. Oh, oh, oh. The one stasis word to find them and in the darkness bind them. It didn't happen though. MaxPax's is like, please? Please? Please walk into my stasis word warrior probes, please? Okay. Now one thing Max still has though, is that robo facility, right? And the Immortals are good. I know they haven't really shown themselves to be that amazing in this match, but I like, by the way, how now Skillous is the one taking the natural expansion. It's kind of fun, right? He started over here and he's going all the way around. MaxPax has done the exact opposite. He started in the natural and he's gone the other way around. Clockwise versus anti-clockwise. What's the best strat? I guess it has to do with dancing once again, dude. It's it's like, what's the thing called? Magical chairs or whatever? Where, like, if the music stops, you have to find a place to sit. Anyways, it depends on what you like. Skillous is going to be going for the high risk, high reward strat. MaxPax trying to be a little bit more conservative with it all. But I think Skillous overall has been playing better. And yeah, that's kind of nutty for me to say, because MaxPax is just known for his impeccable PvP, but Skillous is... I mean, the previous game was a loss, but that was him trying to go for an all-in, right? You gotta excuse that one a little bit. He had a chance, he decided to, yeah, take a risk. And I appreciate that, I think that's a good play. In this game, he is once again outclassing MaxPax. Hats off to Skillous. Very impressive stuff. He's shielding away against those Immortals. So even though they're technically really good, if they can't get into the fight... Insanely well done. I mean, he's 4 Nexar right now versus MaxPax. There's the aggressive link forward. We're gonna try and pick off those big units one at a time. Shield battery overcharge is nice and all, but I don't think there's enough stuff. Well, he wanted to get the Immortals for now. No reason for him to stick around for all too much longer. May as well wait until the battery overcharge is done and then go in for another fight right now. Blink forward again, we could at least go for a Guardian Shield, but apparently we're just gonna try and take this a little bit slower. MaxPax's army is dwindling. It's also because he sent a few of his units towards the other side of the map for Zealots trying to wreak havoc. These are Desperation Zealots. Outplaying MaxPax in 2024 is not really something that happens. Especially over the last few months, yeah. The man has looked ridiculously good, and it's not like he's playing a poor series here at all. Skillous turned out to be a little bit better. GG.